It's taking a minute. Yay, we're live. Yes, serving space on a Wednesday.
Yes, Queen, yes.
All right, it's Wednesday. It's quarantine Q&A time, and we have our very special guest today, Miss Angela Hutt.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Come in, join in.
Yay! Yeah, we're so happy
I
to
am
have you.
doing good.
Thanks for joining us today. We're very, very excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So as you know, for those that have been tuning in for the past few weeks, we have been celebrating our staff members here at the Hope and Help Center by going through our personal favorites from the prevention team. And we are very, very fortunate to have Angela Hunt, who is our peer mentor, here with Hope and Help. So to get things started, let's just dive right in because really it's all about you. So the first thing is tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what something fun and interesting. Give us a little taste of Angela.
A little background, Angela. Oh wow, good. So a little bit about me. My name is Angela Zanaya Hunt, and I currently reside here in Orlando, Florida. I am from Alachua County, but I've been here in Orlando for the last maybe 6 to 8 years. And I am currently working. I finally, after several years of volunteering and being involved in the community doing volunteer work, I finally got my opportunity to work for Hope and Help.
Yeah.
As a peer mentor.
Excellent.
Yeah, we love that. So, do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about what it is that you do as a peer mentor for people that might not know what a peer mentor is?
All right. So the best way for me to explain peer mentor is kind of a collaboration of three different positions. Like it's like a support specialist, peer mentor, health educator. So basically, I have lived experiences that kind of relates to several people that I'm able to assist and help in the community. And so I'm able to share my background and my story to better help others through some of the same situations that I may have faced in my time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps. It definitely helps having that shared experience,
So I think that's about right. And of course, as a health educator, I mean, we're part of the prevention team at Hope. Do test prevention awareness in the community and test and treatment.
Yeah, and outreach
and counseling.
Yeah, so many outreach. She does it all.
All of that.
So, as a
we play with a lot of condoms.
Fully up to the alcohol just for fun.
Every day. Yes, we get to play with condoms.
People should be so lucky, to be honest.
Oh, you want to go?
No, go ahead.
So something that I heard, from what you just said, when it comes to peer mentorship, it involves a lot of having that shared experience. And I mean, if you mind, would you mind telling us a little bit about, your experience was like prior, or whatever story you'd like to share with us that maybe someone could resonate with that may not fully understand, kind of what our angle is or what our our overall group is focused on.
So to explain a little bit about myself, I identify as an African-American trans woman living with HIV, struggling with alcohol and drug addiction, as well as mental health illness and so on. So me having all of those things that I've had to deal with in my life and being able to kind of overcome them, I'm more able to help those who are struggling with some of the same situations. I'm more able to help share my story to encourage them to latch onto a system of help so that we can better help navigate them through the situation.
Yeah, I
So
feel like
basically,
that's
I'm
such a
like,
good
yeah,
word.
once again, I'm a navigator.
Yeah, there you go. I feel like that's such a
I
good
help
word
them
for that.
navigate through whatever condition they're in.
Yeah, I love
Okay.
that. I love that answer.
Yeah.
So, as an activist and an advocate for the trans community, what are some of the issues facing that community that you're most passionate about, and and passionate about changing, and and things?
So for me, as an advocate, I advocate first for myself. I advocate for those who have the same identity as I have, and I also advocate for those who are living with HIV and those who have trans experience. All those things mean a lot to me because those are all things that I struggle with, that I as I've been going through my life, I've noticed I've had the most difficulty with. So when I advocate because I believe that every day I'm able to help someone else through a situation, I'm also helping myself.
Right.
And for whatever situation it is, if it's helping them sharing a story about my drug addiction, help them understand, the importance is trying to find a resource or a team to kind of help them discuss what's going on with them and navigate through that situation. It's that. If it's sharing with someone, when I found out about my status and how I reacted and how things were so hard and difficult for me, is that. And by sharing those stories with people, it helps them kind of have a little more like, hey, well, I'm not the only one that's been through this, but here's this person here willing to kind of help me navigate through it as well. Some of the things that I'm passionate about is I am very passionate about the LGBTQ plus non-binary community, for one, those especially who identify as trans. I'm very passionate for them because over the years, it has shown that we suffer the most when it comes to homelessness. There are so many struggles in our community, especially here in Orange County, with our LGBTQ plus non-binary individuals being homeless, are in the streets and not to stay. And at the time it was they couldn't get help unless they was HIV positive. And now they have the help, but it's such a delay for the help and the assistance. So that's why I really advocate hard for those things and believe that if we continue to work on these opportunities and try to find a level ground, that we will one day finally start reaching our goal, number one goal, and that is to help end the epidemic of HIV.
I love that.
Great answer.
Yeah. I mean, so, we obviously work, Hope and Help's come a long way from just being, a support group into, a Ryan White provider, and we have a full service clinic, and then we're expanding even more on top of that. But as we know, when it comes to, healthcare, there is always medical mistrust. And, when it comes to, and especially, someone of different experiences, and, you have so many, like you said, African-American, transgender woman, HIV positive, there's so many things that cause people not to get into care, through fear of, what are they going to say? Are they going to be able to help me? What are some things that are such big barriers to care, and how can we, for us as a care provider, how can we overcome those barriers to better serve those individuals?
Yeah. All right. If we're talking about, if we're looking at them serving the trans community overall, there's a major disconnect with, I guess, everyone believing that all trans people are HIV positive. I know we work in the HIV field, but a lot of trans women, they can't go somewhere unless someone's saying, "Oh my God, are you here? You're positive?" And it's not really that's not really that issue. They could be going to that facility if they receive HRT, but before they can even get, someone automatically assumes that they're HIV positive. So for that reason, a lot of the girls do make a decision not to even go into those spaces, because if someone else in the community see them going to that space, the whole gossip around the town is going to be, "Oh my God, they're HIV positive."
Right.
So that's one stigma, one situation that as a trans individual you have to deal with, whether you are HIV positive or not. If you be seen in certain areas, you're assumed as HIV positive. And then for some with HIV, like, you want to be able to go somewhere where you completely feel comfortable and you feel that you don't have to deal with someone sitting there saying, "Oh my God, girl, she's this, she's that." Just say, "Okay, we're there getting a checkup, and that's it."
Right.
I mean, a clinic is a clinic for everyone to go to receive a checkup or a test or anything. It doesn't have to necessarily go straight to HIV, because that is still a stigma. Everyone's still afraid to talk about HIV, and I really can't wait till the time we get to the point where having a conversation about HIV is just more fluent. If I'm out eating and I say, "Oh, God, remember HIV?" No one around me is gonna freak out.
Yeah.
Because now you go out, you will have a dinner in public and you're having that conversation that happens. Somebody have to say, "Oh my God, they're doing this for HIV and that for HIV." Everyone starts looking at you, and it's like, okay, it's back to that time where we should be over that. I'm talking about HIV, just listen it. And if I say something important, if you know some information, hey, I can help you get some help. That's what it should be. Yeah, listen and let and be able to share resources. It's not about trying to find out whether the table is HIV, whether that waiter is HIV. It's all about sharing the information so that we can direct people in the right direction who may become in contact with HIV.
Right. Yeah. Because it's a taboo still, which is ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. It is. Yeah. It is. It's yeah. It's weird because the younger generation now, like they'll tell you everything about sex, how to do it, how nasty, and what creative ways they do it now. But if you mention HIV, they get completely just, cotton mouth. It's like, okay, what did you just say?
Or they think they know a lot about it. And then I'm like, tell me a little bit.
Yes, or they think they already know. You can't get that unless you're gay, or you can't get that as HIV affects. We all know that because we work in the field.
Yeah. I want a clicker for, like this, when you used to go to like a club or something and they click it every time someone walks in. For when you're testing, people say, "Well, I'm not gay," so click. Well, I'm not gay. So, like, oh God,
it doesn't bother me.
It's nonstop. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, the shade of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, before we get to the next question, I want to circle back just a little bit and say, so if there was, someone that might need care or might, need or really, want to transition and want to go get HRT from somewhere, but they're worried about that stigma, or they're fearful, that they won't be accepted by a provider. What would you say to them? What advice would you give to them to kind of, maybe push them in the right direction so they can, live their truth, whatever that is?
So the first advice that I give to those individuals is, first have a part of your support team. Have that one person part of your team that you can talk to about everything. You can go to this one person, with a cousin, a sister, a friend, a neighbor. Be able to have that one person you can go to and say, "Hey, I think I'm experiencing something and I think I might be trans." Once you figure that out, then reach out to your resources, to your community agencies, and see who offers, counseling, or therapy, or care for individuals who identify as trans. And then you want to make your initial phone call to an organization. I mean, Hope and Help. That's the first one I can think of. We provide HIV care. So if you're going to call somebody, call us and ask to speak with someone about HRT care. And then after you call and you find out about HRT care, then set up an appointment where you can come in and speak with a doctor that can sit down with you and go over everything with you. I mean, we have a great doctor at our facility, Dr. Jenna, and she's awesome, of caring for people who identify as trans. She has an awesome career, and I speak from that from experience because at one point in time she was also my doctor.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. We love you, Jenna. Yeah.
Well, with that, so we talked a little bit about healthcare for the trans community, and with that experience, it's not just someone comes out, one day and they're, their new self. It's a process and it's an experience, and it's something that people have to, not only figure out in their body, in their mentality, and then of course, when they're ready, share as they want, based on their own experience, right? So, what are some things you would say to someone that is thinking of the idea of transitioning or having struggles with their identity?
So one of the first things that I definitely learned about being trans is that you are trans when you say you're trans. It doesn't matter what this person say or that person say or the doctor says. When you say, "Oh my God, I'm trans," then you are trans. No one else defines how your trans look, because all trans does not look the same. It looks completely different.
Right.
And it's different. It's different for everyone. So once you identify that self and you just know and you feel it, because most of us, we already feel something. We feel that we don't fit in somewhere, and where they're trying to say we should fit in it.
Right.
So we start trying to figure out why we feel that way, and then we quickly latch on to the support that we see. Like for me, I had a lot of sisters, aunts, nieces, and for me, growing up, I knew that I latched on to the women more than the men. Me outside playing, no. I was playing with the dog.
Brownie. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
And a lot of people like to say it's a phase when you're growing up, and it could be a phase, but when you really latch on and you just really like being around one certain person, individuals, and for me, I found my influence from powerful women in my life. I had my mother, she raised me. Well, I was raised in a foster home, but I had my mother by herself that raised me. I don't know my dad. I never met my dad before in my life. I had my auntie and my grandma. They also raised me. So I was always surrounded by a bunch of powerful women. So that quickly came. That's what I see that. I like that. I want to be that. I feel like that. So I must be that.
Right.
So that's how things went for me.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I love that too, because I feel like even in the media, when people are talking about it, there's so much pressure for people to fully transition or to be hyper feminine.
Yeah.
Like that might not be what you want. You might not want that. And that's okay, because obviously everyone is different. You know what? And there's such a focus on, a trans woman looks this way, a trans man looks this way. No. Why do you have to tell other people what they have to be? That's so ridiculous. Yeah.
And that was something I faced growing up. When I first felt that I was truly trans and I was gonna be trans, the biggest thing was God, I'm not gonna be that. Everyone would tell me, girl, you ain't gonna be trans. You're just a drag. You're a handsome young man, but you're just a drag queen. That's what they used to tell me.
Oh my God.
You have to see for yourself how you see yourself.
Yeah.
It took me a while to finally see myself how I see myself, and I had to learn to love myself unconditionally before I started seeing the changes.
Right. Yeah.
It's a journey. It's especially brought up in a Black community, an African American community, because the men are they're so at boys that come up very feminine. It's something they're just not used to. They don't agree with it. They think a boy coming up feminine should not be. And so being up in that kind of community, and same thing with other cultures. Other cultures also have struggles. In certain cultures, you can't, if you dare to dress or put on something that makes you look feminine, it's a major diss to the culture.
Right, like men are alphas. It's very toxic masculinity really is what it is, but
But then again, there's also communities that are okay with it, like the Serafina. If you ever heard of the Serafina, they're like an Indian tribe. They believe in two genders. You also have two spirits.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you got a really good point. You said in the Black community it can be, there's a heightened sense of, especially masculine culture. I feel like they're very hyped up about, being very, very strong, very, very prominent. And speaking with a few of my other colleagues that are, of African American, male descent, or even female descent, they say certain aspects, they've had to set aside, they go into a space and they say, this is my gay hat, or, bi hat, trans hat, whatever it is. And they go into other spaces and they say, this is my black hat. And they have to kind of choose how they're going
to wear the hat.
So have you experienced that, or is it something you've seen in like the trans community?
I mean, like for me, when I started first identifying myself as trans, it was very hard because when I started off, like you said, it's expensive. I didn't have legal name change right away. I basically started wearing feminine. Completely felt like I was a female. I've always acted like a female. People in school always they always call me girl. So I was always around influenced by females, but it's still, as I grew up, looked the part to the community or to everyone. So it was hard at first because then I would have to make sure I don't wear my eyebrows a certain way, make sure I didn't wear my hair a certain way, make sure they couldn't tell, especially when it came to apply for jobs. Like if I went to apply for a job, I had to make that strong decision as, okay, am I going in here as Angela or am I going in here as someone else? Okay, right. Now how does Angela want to present herself? Does she want to go in her head shaved, looking cute and pretty, or do she want to go looking masculine so they can say, yes, you can do the job? And many times I chose the masculine route just to keep it from being such a disruption. Because if it was a disruption, the job would say, oh, you're going to cause chaos here. We would love to hire you and give you a job because you have a great personality, but it's probably going to start with all the other coworkers. It's going to be difficult, and we don't know if you can handle it. I have many situations like that. But I began to love myself unconditionally when I started seeing the growth and all the changes. That's when I was able to walk anywhere, and I just knew I owned it.
Yeah, this is me. And if you don't like it, that's too bad.
Angela. Yeah. And that's how it was. And once I started doing that, like everything started falling in place. Everything started falling in line. Did a program, got my name changed legally. And then after that name change, like it was done. How dare you even call me that name? That other name. No.
We don't know. We don't know
that way, no matter. Her name is Angela Zanaya. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Zanaya. Tell them.
So, we know that you are a co-facilitator of RISE, but for anyone that is watching that does not know what that is, do you want to just go in and explain a little bit about that, and then maybe tell us kind of like what your image is for RISE going forward?
Yes. So RISE is a lovely support group that we have here at Hope and Help, and it was founded by our lovely co-worker Edna and I think Vanessa. Vanessa's no longer with us. They started a good support group for all women living with or affected by someone living with HIV and AIDS. So basically it's an open support to come in and talk about whatever issues they had concerning around HIV and so on. And it just allows us a free space to kind of just talk and express ourselves and share with people some of the struggles that each individuals are going with. You know, we all have learned that with support groups that we put together is that when you share a story with someone else, some people find it relatable, and then they're able to kind of find something to help them navigate through the situation.
Right.
Or get over that hump that they're crossing. So that's what we're constantly always looking for new members. Everyone's invited to come in and sit in on a meeting. Right now, we're on our Zoom meetings. We actually will be having a meeting next Tuesday at 1 p.m. So if you're free, we'll reach out to us. We'll send you a link where you can get directly onto the meeting and join us. We are getting ready to do some special things, so be prepared for those things. I'm not going to tell everybody what it is yet, but just you have to show up to find out what they are.
Ooh.
So, you know some friends. You can be anywhere actually right now because we're doing the Zoom meetings and get on the line somewhere, and chit chat with a bunch of people all over the world, and express, and get some things off your chest. If you're dealing with situations with COVID-19, call us. Come and join the meeting and talk. Let's chat it out. And within that group, I guarantee someone will say, "Oh my God, I know some kind of resource that can help you," and it will get things done by sharing what we're dealing with. So that's what Rise is.
I love that.
Yes, I love that. Oh, you're in.
And that's what it is right now, and it's going to continue to grow. We have many things ahead of us for Rise. Me, myself, Alicia, and Edna, we all are working on this project together, and we will always be together, even if we're not in the same meeting space at those times. Where it's our group, our community.
Excellent.
I love it.
And what I really like about what you said is like it's for women that are affected by or that know someone that has HIV. It's not just specific towards someone that has to be living with it or necessarily someone that's close, but especially in our work, we always say someone that's affected or living with or affected by. So either you're living with it or or in the community someone has it. So we're talking about everything, right? So, and especially in a female support group, I think it's so empowering because through my experience from doing this work, what I found is, especially in health education, sexual education, that the female component of it is kind of lost. We always say the men need to wear the condoms, and you tell the girls, make sure your man has a condom, and we're not giving the women the tools to kind of take care of their sexual health and really empower themselves to be, a healthy sexual, vivacious creature. And, especially when you talk about during COVID, you kind of moved towards Zoom meetings, and with everyone being shut in, I really think this is a really powerful thing because if someone's especially in a domestic abuse relationship, they're stuck with this partner now and have this ability to escape at least for a little bit with someone that they can see and that cares for them and that really resonates with them. So thank you so much for that.
And when we say Rise is for all, we mean all women. Cisgender are transgender. Women are women. So we invite all to come to this meeting and share their experiences. It's the moments that we create for us to work together, that we better understand each other and the struggles.
Right.
Love that.
Yeah. And I think there's another aspect too to what you were saying, David, where women always allowed to be sexual, just in any context. You're not allowed to just say this is what I want to do with this person. This is otherwise, oh, she's a slut, or you know what I mean. So
we do that in our meetings.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Perfect example.
Pictures from collaging.
We have a very lively bunch who will express themselves because we had one project that we did with cutouts of magazines and stuff, and it was one of the best projects we had because the women was fired up. They were like, "Why all these magazines got naked men in them? Oh my God, he's gorgeous! Oh my God, he's wrong with me!" It was so much fun to see these ladies just let go and express how. About a young man. It was so much fun. And those are the moments that we like to create. We like to create moments like that because we remember them from ever. Even if I was to go next week in the meeting, that all of them would get fired up and start, we want to do that again. We're going to do something have fun like that again. Because they love that because it gets their mind off all the other stuff that is going on for just about an hour or two.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love it.
So not only do you head Rise, not only are you a peer mentor, not only are you, taking care of people in the community, you are also a co-facilitator for Restart, which is a support group that we've had for a while that originally was focused on, just gay males and has now expanded to also open up and, include just those that want the experience. And you have done great things, with Scott taking over that or, helping him with that. Can you tell us a little bit about the difference between, what's been going on with Restart and how you kind of impacted that group as well?
So yes, first of all, we want to give honor to Steve Adonis. He was the founder of Restart. And from day one when I met Steve, from the conversation I had with him, the first thing he told me was, "We're going to get you a job. You're going to work for our community. You're going to work for our agency." That's the first word he said to me. And from that day on, he constantly involved me in all the Restart meetings and stuff. And Restart is for older gentlemen living with our older. It started our first as older gentlemen living or affected by AIDS, and then it switched over to anyone older living and affected by HIV and AIDS. So now we have an open group for anyone to join in and come and have a conversation. The majority of our members are older gay males, but we have a very mixed collaboration. And we just basically get in these meetings, and we have classes to take that talks about there are certain things we should get checked out, or, medical health care, dieting. We do all kind of fun activities for the Restart gentlemen, and it's a wonderful group, such as Rise is. I mean, and being able to have a group it has really taught me a lot. And like I say, and it wasn't for Scott and Steve who invited me into that group. And then once I was invited in, they came to me and they said, "Oh, the group is for everyone now. We wanted to make sure we're opening this up for everyone so that you would feel comfortable." That was, I could, and then have them all on top of that say, "Oh, we're going to get you a job in the community regardless. So just stick with us." I mean, that's amazing. And then it finally happened. That was, I know Steve left, and which basically opened that position for me, but it was all his plan. And that's what he said. But this is my plan. This is how I want this to go. And Scott's going to move over to mine. We're going to advocate for you to get in Scott's position. And that is why I'm at Hope and Help. So, I did.
So, let's read this question. Can you tell us the importance of HIV in older population? What's the difference between first-gen survivors versus those impacted by HIV today?
So the thing with first-time survivors, they really went through different things than than the youth today has to go through when it comes to HIV. Like they the medications that was more harmful to their bodies and stuff. That really took the lives of people with HIV, and things have changed. For the youth today, it's a little different. The medications they take today, they're able to take it and not get sick right away, or have all these majors. They have some symptoms, but not all these major symptoms that can cause them to become even more ill. So, as we at Restarts, the older generation has been affected by the HIV virus, we really empower them to tell their stories, because it's their story that reminds us of where we've come from and the work we put in the past. Because there has been a lot of work done before now.
Right. Yeah. And then I imagine too, there's like a big psychological aspect of that too, because living through that, if you lived through that in the 80s, and all of your, if your friends were dying and you yourself were very sick, that's a whole nother. That's a different color. Like,
and then seeing the new generation, like especially if you've gone through it yourself, and then seeing these new generation being like, "It's fine. If I get it, I'll take a pill." I'm like, but you don't have to. Like, you could take steps to prevent that. And we talk about PrEP, we talk about condoms, but for some, they just say, nowadays they just say, "I know someone that has it, they're fine. If I get it, I'll figure it out."
Yes.
It's all about our work, kind of getting out there and being like, no, not no, but these are the tools you can use in order to, live a healthier, sexual, fun life, but also, learn from people that weren't able to have this experience. So it's also
absolutely.
So another part of your work, we talked about this earlier. I'll kind of want to circle back a little bit, but in working with the trans community here in Orlando, especially, we know you are out, boots to the ground on that pavement, making sure that those girls are taken care of. And those things is making sure. And you talked about it earlier. Housing, and even the recovery community. How are we how are you working with these individuals to make sure that they have proper housing, that they have access to recovery centers? Again, how is that kind of helping them if they need to get back into healthcare and kind of help their situation?
So the biggest thing that we are doing right now, like our majority of my first contact with individuals who are trans and need housing, I'm introduced to the individuals through the community. The community knows what I do, knows the work that I'm very passionate about. And if someone happens to see someone, they'll bring them to me and they'll have a conversation with me. And my first thing is to see how much information they are able to give me. What do you need help? Do you have any medical conditions? If they tell me they are HIV positive, then my first goal is, okay, well, this is my first thing. Appointment schedule so you can get into care. We want to get you into care first. While we get you into care, we're going to start working on your housing. And that's just the steps that I go to make sure that I can assist them. And if they tell me they're not HIV positive, I still reach out to organizations that I know can assist with that information to get the next assistance they available for them.
Right.
And so one thing I love about Who Can Help is that every time I speak with my supervisor about an opportunity or something that I think will be better for them that can help the community, they're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I had a meeting with my supervisor about eventually being able to provide housing opportunities for our community, and it wasn't shut down. It was conversated with me. Then it went to the executive. We had a conversation, and right now we're in the process of trying to come up with our next step.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing to be able to work for an organization who's always willing to expand, to make sure the bigger demographic. You can't, it's a blessing. I'm grateful to be able to work in Hope and Help, and I'm grateful to be able to advocate strongly for what I believe and who I identify as, and for them to be along for the ride or be willing to go on the ride with me. Although I be swirling and stuff, they still ride. So
you know what?
Yeah, swirling sometimes. Actually, you ain't going nowhere. So
But no, I agree.
Awesome to have. So our main goals is to make sure that these people are being housed. They have a lot of community outreach here in Orange County for people who identify as trans, but it's hard to, I guess, to put your fingertips on it because it's so spread out. And it's almost the same as like dealing with HIV situations. Everything is still a whisper out. Everyone wants to say, "Oh, we may have this over here. Oh, we got this over here." No one wants to stand out and say, "Hey, we got help assistance over here. Hey, we can help over here. Hey, we provide help over here." Everyone's still whispering it, and it gets to that afraid to yell it out, speak it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
It's definitely important to be that mouthpiece. So you definitely need that.
Yeah. So we have another question, but before that, I just want to address something that you said, and I agree. I feel like the culture at Hope is very yes. Like there is an issue or there's something that I want to do. Okay, yes. And how are we going to do that? It's never just like an instant, nope, that's it. Sorry, we're not going to do that. It's very much like, let me help you figure out how you're going to do this. I'll empower you to do this. Let's talk about how we're going to get there, as a group together. Because it really is about, the work that we do is about looking at the whole person. You can't just address one tiny thing. You have to address the root causes of several things. How do we make sure everyone has stable housing? How do we make sure people know how to write resumes? How do they know how to get jobs? Are they even in a position, to get a shower, or what I mean? Just like other organizations too, like SALT, where they come, there's barbers and there's showers and there's someone to help them write their resumes and there's a hot meal. There's so much. Yeah,
and that's just the surface. We haven't even started with mental health yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, so it goes on and it goes deeper and deeper.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So let's take this question because it's good. What would you recommend to people that have an internal stigma towards the trans community, but wish to be true allies? How do people undo trans bias?
good question.
That's a good one. I know who that is.
So for me, the whole thing with trans is, unfortunately for me, I think it started way back. It started, you know, I don't know if everyone's seen the documentary Disclosure. Okay, so back in the days, like earlier in the community, earlier in our lives, when they first started having any kind of an issue on trans or having this or talk on trans, it was always looked at as a negative thing. Always. Bugs Bunny dressed up like a everyone look at that as something to laugh at, something as a joke. Ace Ventura, the Pet Detective, a movie where they identify a woman. Oh my God, she has this between her legs. They all pointed it out as negative things. So we've all seen this. All of us, including me, have seen this growing up and have always been taught or seen or thought that this is negative. Because the community say this is negative, this is negative. So as we grow up and we find out that it may not be so negative, because I might be like that too. Right. You know, it's hard for us to try to get away from that when everyone's mind is already set on, oh my God, that's a negative vision. If you see a big, tall woman, that's a man. You know, if you see a woman with big hands, oh my God, that's a man. So it's all the things that was set in the beginning against anyone who identify as trans, that is what people are looking at now. And now it's like it's been embedded so much that we can't get away from it.
Yeah.
It's been embedded so much. Trans people has been around for a while. They've always been around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And now it's a big issue because we have the negative lighting.
Right. Yeah. So like how do we dig that like rot out though? You know what I mean? Like how do we dig all of that out and like start a not me personally, but as a community, if there are people that are struggling with that, how do they do that so that they can start over and be an actual ally to the community?
Providing more opportunities for more trans individuals and non-binary individuals to speak up on who they are and what they are. On who they are. Right. Providing that opportunity to be seen in the positive light and not the negative light. Instead of having a story saying, oh my God, this man dressed up as a woman was killed last week, why don't you have a story saying this lovely lady was awarded, a manager position at this job? We're not doing that instead. We have several magazines here in the community, and I'm currently working with one about putting out a story for a positive lighting for all the trans community here in Orlando. And that's a major project we're working on. It's hopefully it'll come out the end of this year, not the beginning of next year, where it's going to show all of the advocates in our community now, our leaders in our community doing positive jobs, doing their profession on a brighter level, on a more positive level, especially with all the murders and everything that's constantly been going on with the trans community, as well as all individuals right now, even within our own community, like in the Black community. At first, there was a there with the Black communities, Black or trans. No, that was a struggle,
right?
So, and I know we've also dealt with the fact that as being trans women, sometimes the men don't see us as women. They see us as just men. But we have to also realize that we are different. On top of us being different, it was a trans woman, two trans women who actually started fighting for gay rights.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we started the change for gay rights, why are we so pushed away amongst our own community?
Yeah.
disliked or not understood by our own community when we're the ones that's basically saying, we got y'all back, we're going to stand up for y'all and fight for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so important, like what you said, like especially within the Black community. You know, obviously during COVID, everything was kind of put at our forefront, especially on social media. You know, the Black Lives Matter came out very strong because of the injustice is happening, you know, to the Black community. And we had to, you know, us in the LGBTQ plus community had to step up and be like, hey, also, you know, yes, we're saying Black Lives Matter, but eventually we had to say, you know, Black trans lives matter. Like, you know, trying to make sure that the entire scope, because it's not just focused on the one.
Everyone was rioting. They were rioting because of one Black man got killed. One. I know there's others, but the rioting started because of one Black man got killed. But last year we lost Black trans women.
Yes.
This year, before that and was killed, 22 Black trans women. So that's why, you know, as the LGBT and trans community came out saying, okay, what about us? We're in this too. We're our Black Lives Matter as well.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for being a part of that, and you know, showing us, especially here in the community, how to do that.
All lives matter. So I will make sure I say that all lives do matter. The focus is on Black lives, all Black lives.
Yes,
but all lives matter.
Sorry, hold on. I love everything that you're saying, Angela. One thing that I have seen that is common to those who are ignorant is many people asking what's between a trans person's legs. What would you tell a world that is curious about other people? Shut up.
So
none of your business.
With that question, like all you can say is, do you care about what you do in the bedroom? Do you care about what's between your mom and dad legs? You just assume they have the right parts and that's it. So if I in the room with the man, you have to assume. It's not to come to you and say, hey, I got this between my legs, or I got that between.
You're gonna wear a shirt with it on it or something.
If it's that I'm in an intimate relationship with someone else, then that is my business and my business alone to disclose to that person, you know, how I feel, what exactly is there. It doesn't matter what's between my legs. It's how I present myself. I present myself to you as a trans woman, as a woman, as a Black American woman. My name is Angela.
Mm-hmm.
Call me Miss. You know, that's Miss. I look like Angela. I look like a female, a woman when I present. So for someone to try to pick and nitpick that down and tear it apart, that's, you know, that's a waste of their time.
Truly.
Why is it so important to them to nitpick what's between my legs? And I saw someone post the other day, why should I be afraid because some man find me attractive? Because it's a man looks at me and finds me attractive. It's an attraction. It doesn't matter what else comes between that attraction. If you're not sleeping with me, it doesn't matter what's between my legs.
Right.
If you think I'm pretty, say, hey, you're gorgeous, you're pretty, and move on. That don't mean we're automatic sleep together. If I look at you, oh God, you are so fine. That don't mean I automatically want to sleep with you. I'm just giving you your compliment that you're fine.
Right. Take the compliment.
And go. don't be don't be talking to me like that. I ain't with that. Excuse me, you ain't with that? What are you with? What are you not with? You're not with me.
You don't agree with me then? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, then you sound ugly.
Be like, I don't want to look like I look good.
Like you know what? I take it back now.
Yeah, I'll take that back. You don't have to be fine. You ugly. So yeah, that's you know, that's what it is. Most of and it's like I'm okay, but like I really haven't experienced too many people coming to me and too many problems I haven't experienced. I'm not gonna say I've never experienced. I have experienced it before, but I don't have a major problem with people seeing me as Angela. You know. But I will say that when all the trans murders and everything started, you know, I I questioned certain places I went. You know, if I went to a gas station and I saw a bunch of Black African American individuals hanging out on the outside, I had to ask myself, do I really want to get out this car and deal with people? One person may be ignorant. Do I really want to do that? You know, I had to ask myself those questions.
Let's get back. You can't have that. Too much.
So not to get personal, but you know, I got to snatch my cat back. Once again, you don't know unless I tell you.
Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy whatever you're seeing. Like, you know, it's a thing of beauty. And if you enjoy that scene, you know, let it be a feast for your eyes. You know?
What I think they're called, is it pansexuals?
Yep.
They're attracted to whatever. Like if they see you and they're like, oh my God, you are so gorgeous. I think, like, why can't we be more pansexual?
I think that people are, they just won't admit it.
Exactly. I think people are, they're so scared. Why are we continuing to be scared about it? Attraction, completely attraction.
People are afraid of parts.
Attracted to.
And
that's all it is.
It's just parts.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Look, once it leaves the public and go into the house and the bedrooms, that's none of my business. I don't want to know. I don't care.
That's none of my business.
We've had a great time. I want to, you know, with everything we've done, and you know, like we said, Hope and Help has been a very good organization to say yes and. Now, if the opportunity to create whatever program, whatever dream outreach event program, you had no financial limitation, what would be something that you do for your community?
So, of course, I'm going to stick with the homelessness, LGBTQ homeless in general, period. Because I don't understand how we as America, a nation who have so many resources receiving funding, how we have homeless people in the streets. You know, I don't want to say anything that may not be right, but our Social Security numbers, they accumulate money. And if that happens, why can't the government take that funding and build facilities that houses individuals who really needs the help and have people there in medical care? Like on one floor, nothing but medical stuff. For the first 5 floors, medical stuff. And then the rest of them be apartments and buildings where people have quick access to those resources. If they need it and they need to go from there, they go to other places. Because there should not be one homeless individual on the street, especially if you identify as LGBTQ+. I'm sorry. But our community does not, it's sad when you try to do everything you can to help get individuals off the street. And I know there's other factors that come in. You know, there's drug addiction. You know, there's abuse. You know, if now they're been so long, they're connected with a pimp or someone that runs them. There's all of those things that come in factor, which also tie in with mental health. But they believe at this time and this year, 2020, we should have some plan put together or something done together to be able to navigate around this situation now and get people off the streets. It's just sad to see people in the streets. And if people choose to live in the streets, okay, well, let's build them.
That's what you want to do.
There around to watch them, let them go and come. But when they do illegal things, then you put your foot down.
Right.
It's more, and it shocks me sometimes when we get to a point where we don't know what's next or what's going to happen next. Because as United States, we have so much more that we can do, period.
Right.
It's hard. I know you all feel the same way I feel. Like when you're driving home, you're on the side of the road, your heart goes out. But actually, I can't help them because I'm barely getting on myself, and if I do help them, then it's going to pull me back. And, you have to go through all those struggles, but it's just a sad thing to see individuals living in the streets when we have abandoned hotels sitting on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Abandoned hotels and buildings owned by the bank and buildings owned by the city that's just sitting there with no one in them. It's
Well, I think the thing too that it's really just crazy to me sometimes that people act like it took someone one day to become houseless. You know what I mean? Like there's like, it's not just like they woke up one day and they don't have a job or a car or a family or a home. Like there's and again, that's why you have to look at the whole person.
Oh my God, yes. Like when
it makes me so mad.
When I used to ride with my sister, she used to always see I have a sister that when she used to see people and she'd be like, oh my God, honey, you better get a job like I got a job. And then my first thought is like, how do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you know they didn't have a job
or they're not trying to get one?
Steal their money or whatever. How do you know? We don't know.
Right.
Absolutely. Unless we meet them, talk to them, and figure out exactly what it is they're going through. Once again, trauma. We all dealt with trauma in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So this person obviously is dealing with some kind of trauma that's keeping them suppressed.
Right. Yeah.
There's
no one's
choosing to
sleep
get involved in their lives and help them get back up on the road again. That's
Yeah.
So
That's true.
Yes, So I really do love, and I am really passionate about the work that I do in the community, and I really do hope to be able to do a lot more. And pray God I don't do it, because sometimes I get so wrapped up and so involved of making moves and making things happen. Just simply take a breath. I forget to take a moment for myself.
Caretaker fatigue is a real thing.
I forget to do that, but we all have to remember that even with doing this work, we have to still continue doing self-care. It is important for us to also lay back, relax, and enjoy ourselves from time to time as well, because that keeps providing us with that strength and that mobility to keep doing the work that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like that's a great ending point, but do you have any last words that you want to say? Anything that you want to plug? Anything that you just want to leave us with tonight?
I'm just going to say I'm very grateful and proud to be a part of Hope and Help. Like when I started about a year ago now. It's been a year.
Yeah.
So when I started working about a year ago, David would know, okay, I'm new to this. How do you do this? How do you do that? I'm going to ask you all the time, oh, you okay, girl? And then it got to the point where it was like, okay, girl, look this up and figure it out.
You don't ask David.
The sad part about it.
I told you 3 times. I don't know why.
And the sad thing about it, I did get so used to just asking him, so I would go to him and ask him everything. And then once he started doing it myself, I realized myself that I was able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was like, oh my God, I do remember what David said.
Yeah, it's a baby bird punch.
And that was the most respectful thing I could have ever learned coming in. And that's how everyone at Hope and Help has always been with me. They have always been open to help explain to me and guide me along and then push me out there and say, do it. Do it. Go for it.
Do it.
You better fly or drop. You better fly or fall, girl. You better do it. Same thing with PK. I have talked his ears off about stuff. And he'll say, girl, I'm gonna show you one time.
Yeah.
Well, nice.
Just call me, but I'm gonna show you one time.
Call me, but don't.
And I just love being able to work in an atmosphere where we all have this. Our mission is truly our mission.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Did you see that email?
Yes.
I would empower you to work that out, because that's what you want.
So yeah, it's great to be a part of a team, and it's great to see where we're going next, because I do know, talking with my supervisor and some executive members, that are the plan we have for our community, especially those who identify as trans and non-binary, and those who are homeless. We have a vision, we're working on it, and soon we'll be able to let you know something soon.
Yes. I have a good secret, so I'm waiting.
And remember,
I'm waiting with bated breath.
Tuesday at 1 p.m.
She's like, I'm about to see this too. No. All right. Well, I had a ball. Thank you.
I definitely enjoyed this. This was
Yeah,
great.
thank you
Great,
so much.
great. I was nervous early because I didn't go over the questions until about 40 after. And I was like,
Well, you know all the answers, girl. They're right in here.
It's in, yeah.
yes, our mission. Yes, exactly. Yes, love you, Amy.
We love Amy. All right. Well, y'all have a great night. I've had a great time. Thank you for sharing your story.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome.
Yeah, and we'll see everyone next Wednesday.
I hope I put the pressure on Joshua and Adam by saying, I hope now they're sitting there like, that darn Angela, she should have waited.
Well, we're listening.
Lisa too, yeah. I know they're like, oh, Angela, I wanted you to wait.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you so much, and love you all.